as you know, because you guys are avid cross-lister wizards, e-commerce wizards. You know the importance of cross-listing, but you can't just do cross-listing, right? It's not enough. You need to figure out ways to hack the algorithm. eBay. I recommend you list 10 items and cross-list 10 items per day. I then say take that one step further and do delist, relist for 20 to 30 items per day. Now, you can automate that using Treecat. I could schedule this. So I want to do delist, relist of the 16 items on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. And I'm going to do a one time, but what I could also do is schedule it so let's be listing 10 items and cross listing 10 items a day. Let's be delist relisting 20 to 30 per day. Okay. And you know, nothing sparks the algorithm like fresh new listings. But I also noticed that my impressions go up with the delist relist. So take advantage of that. It's a free thing that you can do if your stuff is already cross-listed on Treecat. All of these platforms they like is consistency and they like activity, right? So what you're showing the eBay algorithm here by listing 10, cross-listing 10, and delist relisting 20 to 30 a day is just do that on a consistent basis and have consistent activity. And so I think that's a huge algorithm hack that people that are using TrueCat should definitely be doing. And there's a lot of best practices that you should like with eBay that you should consider. And you want to make offers. I make offers. I actually do promote at around 2.1 to 3%. And yeah, and I think making offers at 5% very consistently is very important. And you can actually automate that on eBay to happen for you. So make sure like you're doing these best practices, like you're responding to any emails that you get, right? You're shipping out on a timely basis. But there are best practices on eBay that we all do, we all know about, and they're important. But you got to go take it a step further, I think, and show these algorithms that you have a consistent daily activity. Um, and I think it's important personally to manage your activity across your platforms with one program. And that's why Treecat does that for you, because here's the deal. You want to have enough activity to spark the algorithm, but you don't want to have too much activity that they recognize you as an automated, that you're using automation. Okay. So you want to have enough activity, but not too much activity. And that leads me to Poshmark. Poshmark, um, Poshmark is especially important to make sure you have activity. It's imperative that you have an active store. And I think Poshmark really rewards more so than maybe even eBay, rewards activity even more so than any other platform I've ever experienced. So the things that you need to do on Poshmark to show that you have an active store are different than eBay or Mercari, but maybe not so much different, but there's more that you need to do. But that's okay because Treecat is starting to automate those things for you, right? And making it easier for you. So you want to do your listings every day on Poshmark. Since you're already doing it for eBay, you might as well do it for Poshmark too, right? It's just a no-brainer. So anyways, let's get back to Poshmark. So with Poshmark, we're listing, right? We're delist relisting. We are we're doing some other things as well. So we're doing showing activity on Poshmark is also about sharing. And you want to share your listings to your followers pretty much all day long. Okay. I'm gonna say it. Let's do this all day long, right? And this is one of our features that we're coming out with Poshmark sharing any day now. But it's going to do is it's going to enable you to share all of your listings on Poshmark to all of your followers all day long, essentially from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it will do it in a very managed way for you. So there are some thresholds that you don't want to go beyond. And so, like with calls, you do calls to those APIs, which is technical jargon for you don't want to overdo it. So, and then Treecat's going to manage that for you and make sure that you don't overdo it. But it's going to share all of your items all day long from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to your followers. Secondly, it's going to share all of your listings to the 7 p.m. party. And that's from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific, right? So it will also do the sharing for them, but it's not sharing just to your followers, it's sharing to that particular party. And it's going to allow you to automate it. So you set it and forget it. Okay. And it's going to manage the number of calls so that you don't exceed the threshold and get put in Poshmark jail. And I think a lot of you probably understand what I mean by Poshmark jail. It's kind of like a shadow banning. So if you kind of overdo it with the sharing, they don't like that. And they will shadow ban your stuff and you aren't going to be seen in search. So there's a fine line that you have to meet, to toe, right? You have to be cognizant that at the same time that these platforms want activity, they don't want too much activity, and that activity needs to be managed in one central like location, like Treecat's going to do. You don't want to have all these other, well, not to mention it's saving you money, right? I mean, you don't have to have all these different products that you pay for on a monthly basis because this is all going to be like free basically if you're free to you if you're using Treecat to cross list and super important to do these sharing things. And this is V1. So V2 we're going to have some more things and it's more calls to the API. So more importantly to have it managed in one central with one central product, right? um, because we know the formula, we know the secret as to what they're looking for with that you can't exceed a certain amount of calls. So, let Treecat manage that for you and make sure that you don't get put in Poshmark sharing jobs. So, what other things are important on Poshmark? I think that not only sharing is important, like your own listings, you need to share other people's listings. And this is going to come in a later version of our Poshmark sharing, but you should probably be sharing other people's listings. And they shared your item, you're going to share their item. They liked your item or they liked your profile, you're going to like them. They followed you, you're going to follow them. So it's just going to automate that. That's in V2. I'm still a believer that you need to return the love on Poshmark and also welcome new users and things like that. And so those are going to be things that are coming soon with our V2 of Poshmark sharing. And also the other thing that we're going to automate is responding to likes by giving an offer back. And we're going to automate that process as well for you. So a lot of time saving and money saving things coming with regards to our Poshmark sharing tool. But most importantly, it's the ability to manage all this activity from one central place and know that you're not going to, go over your allotted limits and get put in Poshmark jail. Right? So that's really important. You can't really emphasize that enough. Like you don't want to just go crazy and try to do it all with bots and this and that and separate products that aren't talking to each other and don't know what each other are doing. You want central location where all the different calls that you're doing are coordinated and know what each other's doing so that you're not making too many calls, right? On their APIs. It's important. It's important um, it's an important safety feature. So those are some of the things on Poshmark that I think are good algorithm tricks. And honestly, you can wrap up this algorithm hack situation just by saying activity, algorithm hacks or activity. Now, Mercari is a little bit less involved, I would say. I say the biggest way to hack the Mercari algorithm is just to list and delist, relist. They don't have sharing. And I think you can make offers, right? And you can bundle things now for people, and that's helpful. And you can respond to messages. But I really think what moves the needle on Mercari is just, they have like their algorithm is sort of like last in, first out. So you want to get your new items back up to the top. And one of the cool things that I really like about Treecat from Mercari is when you make an offer on Mercari, the base essentially the price drops, right? You make this dropped this, this 10%, you drop the price 10%. Every offer that you make subsequent to that is going to go down another 10%. And I don't like going down more than 20% personally. So yeah, so with Mercari, I do love this whole trick of delist relist something that I had an offer on. It didn't there was no buy. Sometimes when you reprice it on the actual platforms themselves, like, especially I know that eBay for sure, uh, does not, if you reprice it higher, I think it's better to take it off and then put it back on with a new price as opposed to repricing it higher on the platforms. I just don't think that the algorithms, on those platforms, I don't think they're going to reward you for doing that, and I know for a fact that they don't reward you for doing that, and they actually may penalize you for changing your prices first. So even though they give you that option, I feel like they give you that option and make it easy to lower, but I've also heard that as a best practice that you shouldn't go on the platforms themselves and increase your prices. Like, it's just not gonna they're not gonna reward that. Just relist it with a higher price, and it'll get the benefit is it'll get linked higher in search, right? It'll go to the top. So that's the cool thing about Mercari. They have a little bit of a less sophisticated algorithm that they use for impressions, and you can use tools like Treecat to to delist relist an item and reprice it, and it's done, right? And you're not using the platform itself to reprice it because they're not going to reward you for it. So that's my biggest algorithm hacks that I wanted to share with you. All right, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.